question is, if I could pick one dream tour lineup, what would it be? So sticking with the world of the living, I'm not going to do, people who have passed away or whatever. So in no particular order, Green Day, Chili Peppers, Foo Fighters, and Rage Against the Machine, and Neck Deep, obviously at Neck Deep. So yeah, I think that'd be a pretty monstrous tour. Yeah, there's been a huge change in the band since Seb came into the band, although things don't really feel like they've changed that much at all, because Seb's kind of always been a part of the band. So yeah, he brings a lot to the table. So obviously Seb is a producer, records bands, so he has all that knowledge and all that know-how. So now, we have all that at our disposal. He also, I think something Seb brings to the band, he's very calm. He's very rational. And so, even when Seb wasn't in the band, if Seb was kind of around or making a decision or whatever, we'd all be kind of tearing each other's heads off about things and going back and forth. And Seb's always really calm and, has a very highly valued opinion within the band. So I think now that he's in the band, that still sticks. People still really respect his opinion and want to hear what he has to say, and he's never unfair or unreasonable or kind of impulsive. He's just really calm and rational, and generally has good opinions on things. But now as a band, I think we're the best we've ever been in terms of dynamic. Like, we all just get along. There's no one competing for anything or like any sort of agenda or anything like that. Everyone is just totally on the same page and totally open and free, and feels good and comfortable with each other and expressing themselves around each other too, which is perfect conditions. The song that we're most excited to play from ADAI, me personally, it's either Sick Joke or Pushing Daisies. Sick Joke for the riff and for the chorus, because the chorus is super singable, I think. And for the riff, the wee, 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 wee. I'm looking forward to seeing what shape Sam pulls for that. But then Pushing Daisies, because it's just a huge ender. I think like the whole room is just going to get fucking thrown upside down when we do that. So yeah, really excited to play those two. Okay, so if I could have two actresses or actors and actresses play Jet and Alice. This was tough, but I think for Jet, I would go for Sheila Buff. I don't know why. I just feel like he could pull off the punky low-life thing. I would have said Jake Gyllenhaal's sort of Donnie Darko kind of era would have been perfect, but I say Sheila Buff for Jet. And then I would actually say for Alice, I think would be perfect would be Aubrey Plaza. I think she like plays that kind of like moody, kind of misunderstood, kind of edgy character really well. I think she could do that really well. And she's a good comedic actor as well as like being pretty serious. So I think that'd be cool too. Okay, so the reason that She's a God didn't make it onto the record, well, there's a couple of reasons, but one of them being that, it had already been out for about a year by the time the record came out, and we didn't want it to be a track that people sort of skip through as they were listening to the record, because they've already had it for a year when the record is meant to be listened to as a full piece. So yeah, we didn't want anyone to be skipping any tracks. So we also released it as a standalone, so it's kind of like meant to just be kind of on its own. We didn't want it to be necessarily part of the record, not because we don't like it or because it's bad. It had happened already. There was no element of surprise. It was nothing new. It would have just kind of bumped up the numbers and maybe had a song in there that didn't quite make sense. And really, it was She's a God was a little bit of an experiment. So we basically went and wrote and recorded She's a God with Matt Squire down in Monroe Valley to like test the environment for where we'd be doing the record. And so yeah, we just wanted it to be its cool little standalone thing, not necessarily just throw it onto the record just because.
So the question is, why didn't we put She's a God on the new record, All Distortions? And the reason is because it didn't really fit narratively. There wasn't a place in the record where it kind of fitted the story and the flow of the record lyrically. So we didn't want to just force it in and put it in a random place just to have it on the record. Yeah, that's basically it.
Okay, favourite tattoos I have. I have a lot. I have a bunch of tattoos. My favourites would probably be what's on my chest. I don't know if you can see that properly. But yeah, there's that. I also just got a brand new tattoo from my girlfriend. It's kind of wrapped up, but this is one of my favourites. Yeah, look at that bad boy. I've also got my back tattooed too, which when it's done will be a good time. So the song that went through the most changes on ADAI, I would say it was probably Empty House. We toyed around with that for a long time. As with songs that I tend to write, they tend to have very grand ideas and silly structures that are usually a little bit more difficult to pull off in reality. And we were playing around with the bridge of that song for a long time. What could be said for a new day when everything fucking hurts. We were trying that in a lot of different placements, having it twice, having it once, not having it at all, having it at the end, having it in the middle, and that was a big process. And then, are there any B-sides that we've got hidden away that didn't make the cut? We have an entire vault full of demos. Some of them are 10-second snippets, some of them are full songs that we've never released. So, yeah, it's like the Holy Grail. You're never going to find it. I mean, unless you're Nicolas Cage.
Okay, so this was a 2-in-1 question. The first part of the question was, what song on the record went through the most changes while we were recording it? And I think that was Empty House. We just couldn't get the structure and the arrangement of that to kind of sit well with all of us. We had all the parts, but it was kind of moving them around and getting them in the right place in the arrangement of the song that took a while. And yeah, that song definitely went through the most changes, I think. And the second part of the question was there any B-sides that didn't make the cut? And no, there wasn't. We didn't record any extra tracks that we didn't use or anything like that, apart from like a few stupid like joke songs that we kind of just did in 10 minutes or something when we were messing about. But yeah, no B-sides this time.
I don't think the intention was always to write a conceptual record. When we knew we were going into album 4, it wasn't like, hey, let's write a concept record. The idea came when we were on tour with Blink, and I ended up writing Low Life. And I thought, this doesn't necessarily sound like something that we would write, or it doesn't sound like something I would write. It sounds like it's coming from a part of me that I can spin off as a character. And then from that light bulb moment, the whole kind of concept was born, really. So, yeah, I didn't set out to make it a concept record, but the idea came pretty early on and quite spontaneously. See, this one, actually, I'm surprised people got it this quickly, but we wanted this to be a little Easter egg. But the idea of using Fall slowed down for Quarry came from Matt Squire. Well, it was combined effort, but Squire used to do all sorts of little stuff when we were just like listening back to the music, and just like generally we'd listen to it in a lot of different forms. Sometimes most of the time he'd absolutely crank it and we'd be listening to it blowing the windows out. Sometimes he would just, isolate. Sometimes he would pitch shift bits up and pitch shift bits down. But one of his favorite things to do, and it was actually really cool, we all really enjoyed it, is just randomly, if we were just sitting around kind of chilling, maybe just having a little break for a sec, he would just play the whole song super slow and just slow it right down and just be like, how does it sound slowed down? He's like, it's usually a sign of a good song if it sounds good, like super slowed down. And we did that with a lot of songs, but when we did it with Fall, it was like, I think everyone in the room was like, yo, that's actually pretty sick. Like, we could actually use that as an interlude. And it was really just Squire pissing about, really, and just being weird and like, let's listen to this song super slow and be weird about it. But it actually ended up kind of spawning a new song out of it. So 50-50 on that. I'll take 50-50 credit with Squire on that one. See, this is really interesting because I've never thought of it that way. I've never thought of, Jet falling into the quarry the same way that he is falling for Alice, and it's these two kind of parallels either side of his music. That's really cool, and that's what I was kind of most looking forward to as this record, was seeing how, oh, my dog has just barged his way in. Hi, mate. Yes, I'm doing something, mate. Give me a minute. Give me 1 second. 1 second, and I'll give you kudos. Yeah, I'd never thought of it that way, and so that's really sick that there are, people are kind of interpreting in their own ways now. But I'm not going to say that that's not the intention, but I'm not going to say that it is. It's definitely a valid point and something that, that's a new thing that I'm thinking about now. So yeah, nice one for picking that out. But no, I always think of Quarry and the Quarry representing basically Jet's deepest, darkest place. In Quarry, he refers to it as the quarry, in the actual place where he would, take his own life. He's decided that. But also, in Little Dove, diving down to depth into this old quarry, I think it's also a metaphor for the kind of emotional depth of his mind too. But definitely parallels in, the literal quarry and the quarry of love. Ugh, sounds a bit weird, but good job, nice one. I love that interpretation.